The management of posterior polar cataracts is surgically challenging owing to the high incidence of posterior capsular adhesions. Pre-operatively, posterior polar cataract may be classified on slit lamp examination into 4 types. In addition, anterior segment OCT may help to delineate the size and shape of posterior polar opacity and detect pre-existing PC defect. Conventionally, hydrodissection is avoided in posterior polar cataract. Multiple hydrodelineation rings are created and a layer by layer or a slow motion phacoemulsification is performed. Avoidance of hydrodissection leads to difficulty during cortical cleanup, and any stress on the fragile posterior capsule can lead to a PC defect during irrigation aspiration. Intraoperative OCT or IOCT provides a real-time dynamic insight into intraoperative manipulations. We herein evaluated the role of IOCT guided phacoemulsification to evaluate the morphological variants of posterior polar cataracts and understand the real-time dynamics of integrity of posterior capsule during phacoemulsification. We excluded cases with pre-existing PC defect. 3 morphological variants of posterior polar cataract were observed in IOCT. Type 1, posterior polar cataract were characterized by an intact posterior capsule clearly visualized along the entirety of posterior polar opacity and a clear homogeneous space between the posterior capsule and the hyperreflective posterior polar opacity. Type 2 posterior polar cataract was characterized by an intact posterior capsule observed in the periphery of the opacity. The posterior capsule could not be clearly delineated in the entire posterior polar opacity, with the dense central region of opacity apparently adherent to the posterior capsule. Type 3 posterior polar cataract was characterized by dense posterior polar opacity with extensive shadowing and an inability to delineate the posterior capsule status in the entirety of the opacity. In type 1 posterior polar cataract, after capsular access, hydrodelineation was performed using a blunt 27 gauge cannula. The separation between nucleus and epinucleus with formation of an epinuclear cushion was visible as a hyporeflective region on IOCT. After hydrodelineation, a gentle hydrodissection was also performed in type 1 posterior polar cataract with clearly delineated posterior capsule. The passage of fluid wave resulting in a separation of posterior capsule and cortex was observed in IOCT, and the integrity of posterior capsule was assessed. The epinuclear cushion was maintained throughout the nuclear emulsification in all cases, and an intact PC was visualized at all steps of surgery. The cortical matter was gently peeled off from the posterior capsule, starting from the periphery towards the center, with the central posterior polar opacity complex being removed at the last. No case with type 1 posterior polar cataract developed an intraoperative posterior capsular defect, and an IOL was implanted in the back in all cases. In type 2 and type 3 posterior polar opacity, only hydrodelineation was performed in all cases and hydrodissection was avoided. The cleavage plane created by hydrodelineation waves were visualized in IOCT. The intactness of epinuclear cushion was assessed during nuclear emulsification. Inadvertent hydrodissection during hydrodelineation was observed in one case with type 2 posterior polar opacity. The first wave of hydrodelineation led to the separation of the epinuclear cushion from the nucleus. During passage of second wave of hydrodelineation, fluid seeped in between the posterior capsule and the lens cortex, leading to an inadvertent hydrodissection. The integrity of posterior capsule was confirmed on IOCT. The epinuclear cushion was maintained during nucleus emulsification. The posterior capsule was intact till the end of surgery. A foldable intraocular lens was implanted in the bag and an intact PC was seen on IOCT. 3 eyes developed posterior capsular dehiscence during the stage of aspiration of epinuclear cushion. The posterior capsular defect was immediately detected clinically and confirmed on IOCT as well. A dispersive OVD was injected over the defect to tamponade the capsular opening and prevent any sudden antechamber decompression. The PC defect was converted into a posterior continuous curvilinear capsular axis. A bimanual irrigation aspiration was performed to remove any residual cortical matter. The intraocular lens was implanted in the sulcus or in the bag based on the status of the anterior and posterior capsule. IOCT helps in a risk stratification of posterior polar cataracts based on the morphological features. All cases of posterior capsular dehiscence during IOCT guided surgery were observed in type 2 and type 3 posterior polar cataracts with dense opacity and inability to completely delineate the posterior capsular status. Preoperatively, anterior segment OCT may be used for morphological characterization of posterior polar cataracts. However, to understand and visualize the intraoperative dynamics in posterior polar cataract surgery, IOCT is needed. Intraoperatively, IOCT aids in decision making regarding whether or not to perform hydrodissection. We demonstrated safety of performing hydrodissection in cases with type 1 opacity, with clearly delineated posterior capsule. No case with type 1 opacity developed PC dehiscence during hydrodissection. Hydrodissection is advantageous during subsequent cortical cleanup and facilitates easy aspiration of cortical strands. IOCT aids in real-time dynamic visualization of posterior capsular status during surgery. IOCT does not help to prevent PCR. We compared the incidence of posterior capsular dehiscence between IOCT guided and non-IOCT guided surgeries and did not observe any significant difference. This is the first study to assess the posterior capsule dynamics during phacoemulsification in posterior polar cataracts.